Welcome back to another episode of the Shout at the Devils podcast. I'm Daniel Amoia. I'm a Devils beat reporter for the Hockey Writers. I'm here alongside Justin Brady, who runs Devils Fanatics on Instagram. And every single episode we make is a positive one. It's kind of crazy that it's been this long and the Devils still just cannot find a way to lose. Pretty remarkable. 8-1-0, 8-game winning streak after that tough opener in Carolina. And they're just absolutely rolling in all facets of their game. It was funny. After the game yesterday, I was looking back at some of the tweets when I posted the Devils schedule in July. They included Patrick saying, we could very, very, very realistically start the season 0-11. Travis said that's a gauntlet to start the year. And I mean, he wasn't wrong. It is. Jaco Andrew saying a gauntlet of a schedule to start and 15 back-to-backs, not ideal. And then Dallas saying 3-game road trip to start and then host the two teams that have been in the cup last 2 years, sick and nasty. And I mean, the Devils, it's just crazy that it's not just the fact that they're on an 8-game win streak, which in of itself is impressive when the team last year did not win more than 3 in a row, but the teams they're doing it against. I mean, you could argue 7 of those 8, maybe even all 8, if Columbus shocks, will be playoff teams. This is just pretty crazy stuff. Justin, what's standing out to you about this stretch?
The first thing I have to say is Jack Hughes. He's been playing lights out, probably some of his best hockey in his career. 8 goals in his last 8 games. Like, that's just amazing right there. He's on a goal per game pace. That's more than what you can ask for a player like him. And he's playing like a top 5 player in the league. He truly is. Just zooming out there, looking like himself, feeling healthy. His shot is just on a whole nother level right now. He's finding ways to get it past the goalie. Amazing stuff by him overall, and he leads the league in goals, tied with Shane Pinto for the lead at 8 goals. So pretty impressive stuff there. And then you have some other guys like really stepping up, like Connor Brown, 5 goals in his first 9 games, his best start to his National Hockey League career. I think his second best start was 5 goals in 14 games. I don't know who tweeted that, but I saw that out there. So Connor Brown is over exceeding his expectations. So that's a great thing right there. And then you have other guys like Mercer, Timo stepping up, and obviously you know what you're going to get from Nico and Bratter. So everyone's really chipping in right now. It's a full team effort every single night. The Devils are undefeated at home. You love to see that. 5-0 at the Rock this season. The fans have been bringing the energy. I think every single game except for the Minnesota game was sold out. And I think the Minnesota game was like 99% capacity. So the fans are bringing the energy every single night. You love to see it. And overall, like, it's impressive what the Devils are doing right now. Like, as you said, basically every team they've beaten so far has been a playoff team except for Columbus, and Columbus barely missed the playoffs last year. And they're a team on the up and coming right now, so they could very well be a playoff team this year. So I don't know like what else to really say. Like, it sounds like a broken record at this point, because it's just like the Devils are just an amazing hockey team right now, and there's nothing to really like pinpoint of like anything bad right now regarding the team. So nothing to complain about at all.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that Jack Hughes is tied for the league lead in goals because it's not just like some shooting heater. If you look at Shane Pinto, I think he's shooting over 20 something percent. Jack is right around his career norm. It's not some crazy thing. He's just legitimately been that good. He's generating a ton of chances. And we talked about it earlier after, was it whoever they played the second game? I'm blanking, but I know Jack had a game where he had 0 shots on goal, and we were like, that's so uncharacteristic of Jack Hughes. He's gonna find his way eventually. It's just too obvious. And look at him since then. I mean, how many times have we said all Jack Hughes needs to be healthy, and he'll be probably top 5 to top 10 player in the National Hockey League. And that's what we're seeing right now. Now, hopefully for his sake, he could stay healthy. But bottom line is, it's really helping the Devils out right now. And even Jack Hughes aside, that they had, was it the last game against Minnesota where Jack didn't really do anything, and the Devils still surged ahead. I mean, they're not reliant on him as they maybe would have been last season. They're getting contributions from up and down the lineup. And even you look at someone like Connor Brown or Simone Nemitz, who, by the way, is on pace for like 65 points this season. Not saying that's sustainable, but you just have all these contributions. Whereas last season, it was basically like when they got off to that hot start, it was Nason and Cotter and not much else. Now it's everyone. Gritsuk, Brown, Cody Glass when he was healthy. And this is a team that still has Dadanov on the sidelines as well. Player who scored 20 goals last season, with most of them at even strength. So there's just so many positive signs. But Jack Hughes, I mean, the microcosm of his last few games where he's just been dominant, came into that one play, gets that chance, doesn't finish, and then gets another chance. And you can't give Jack Hughes two chances like that. One is probably too many, but yeah, he really just showed who Jack Hughes is in that few seconds. Here's the call from Matt Laughlin on the radio.
Here we go. Here's Nemitz in front for Jack. Takes his time. Shot scored! Jack Hughes misses the opportunity first time, not the second. It's an overtime game winner as the Devils win their 8th straight game. They win 4-3.
So yeah, Jack Hughes, just phenomenal. There was some unfortunate news. Brett Pesce blocked the Brent Burns shot with, I believe, 5:33 to go in the first period and did not return. That's a big blow to the Devils. That goes without saying. Brett Pesce has been arguably their best overall defenseman. He's a warrior, and for Brett to miss some time, it's got to be a pretty serious injury. It was classified by Keefe as upper body, but we did see a lot about the Devils as a whole after that, with 5 defensemen against a very good Avs team. Being able to persevere through that, I mean, that in of itself is super impressive. But yeah, Pesce's a big blow, and we know we've talked about injuries, and hopefully they don't pile up here. Hopefully this is a one-off, but every team deals with injuries, and there's nothing you could do to avoid a ripper from Brent Burns right to, I don't know if it was his hand or his ribs. It was hard to tell from the video, but yeah, Pesce is one of the better puck-moving defensemen in the league. He blocks a ton of shots. He's just so steady overall. So that's a huge blow to the Devils.
It definitely is. But looking on the plus side, it does give an opportunity to a guy like Seamus Casey to come in and make a name for himself. I don't know if it's going to be him or Dennis Cholowski getting that last spot. We do not know at the moment, but I'm hoping it's Casey. I would like to see him get his opportunity here. He had a rough training camp. Basically, he was sidelined for most of it with an injury that he was dealing with, and then missed the first few games and then got sent down to Utica when he was ready. So honestly, this is a good opportunity for Casey to really shine if he's able to get that playing time here. And honestly, I have confidence in Casey. I think over time he's gonna get better. We know he has that offensive touch. It's just a matter of can he be consistent defensively? But it's good that you have other guys there really pick up that slack. Like Nemec has really grown as a defensive player. So has Luke Hughes. Brendan Dillon can go out and lay out anybody any single night. And also, talking about Dylan, he had that big hit in the middle of, I think it was the second period. I feel like that was kind of Colorado was looking to get back into the game, or they was already tied up to that point. And it looks like Colorado was really starting to control play there. And Dylan laid out that hit, and it kind of balanced things again. Just something small like that in a game could really make a difference for a hockey team. And also, I want to add that I really respect that the Devils didn't just waver after giving up that goal towards the end of that third period, which Colorado tied it at. Because I feel like the Devils last season, they give up that goal and then it just turns into another goal after, or they lose that game in overtime. This team was all right, you know what? We gave up a goal, but it's still a tied game. And they still played to their identities. They still played their game. They finished that third period hard. And in overtime, they got rewarded for it. They stuck to their game. They're playing confident out there, and they're not letting little things like that get to them, which if it was last year, I feel like it would. And I feel like many people would agree with that. So even the game against the Sharks, I feel like that's just a game that the Devils would have lost last season. And I mean, which they did lose games like that. So credit to the Devils really finding ways to win out games here. The last 2 wins haven't been easy by any means, but they're just grinding those wins out. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Good teams find ways to win games. And also, I want to add, you were saying earlier about how all the guys are stepping up. It's every single game, it's someone new stepping up, whether it's Brendan Dillon getting a game-winning goal. He got back-to-back games with game-winning goals. Dougie Hamilton stepping up with the 2-goal performance against San Jose. Jack Hughes stepping up. Connor Brown stepping up. There's all, Arseny Gritsuk as well. There's all different guys stepping up every single night. It's not the same guy every single night. It wasn't like last season where it's just like, oh, it's Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, and that's basically it. Maybe add in Timo Meier there towards the end of last season. It's all different guys stepping up, and that's what you love to see from a hockey team, and that's a form of winning hockey and Stanley Cup championship type of hockey. So it would be very key for them to get that production from basically everybody. And it's nice to know that like you can get a goal from Brendan Dillon any given night, which is like, I mean, that's pretty cool right there. So yeah, it's nice to see that everyone's really chipping in right now. Everyone's playing to their identity and just looks like a complete hockey team right now.
Yeah, and look, like they're not gonna be a lot of these players aren't gonna be on this pace for this long. Dawson Mercer is basically a point per game player right now. I mean, that would be a very welcome surprise, but I he could definitely be better than last season his numbers, but I don't know if point per game might be a stretch just given the other players the Devils have on their team. Brendan Dillon is on pace for, I have it right here, 45 points this season. I mean, obviously, Brendan Dillon probably won't finish with 45 points. Simone Nemeth, same thing, on pace for around 65. But at the same time, if these guys are just consistently chipping in and not hot for 2 weeks and then cold for 2 months like some players were last season, overall, you're going to get that trickle down effect where players are constantly chipping in and there's no void periods for months like the Devils had last season where it was really unfortunate. They just couldn't get anything aside from those top guys. So the depth is really standing out. And remember, I mentioned Dadonov, Kovacevic as well, who is a key part of this team, has not played a single game yet. So when you combine all of that, I think I've said it before, the Devils are in a much better spot to sustain this success. Maybe not 8-1 type of success where you're battling for the President's Trophy, though you never know. But I think certainly to be one of the better teams in the league for sure. So keep saying it. So many positive signs. It's kind of crazy. Speaking of positive, Jacob Markstrom backed up Jake Allen yesterday, and that was a big thing because Markstrom, it was a little murky. Everyone was like, Keefe said a couple weeks. Was that going to be 2 weeks? Was that going to be 4 or 5? Like there was no definitive timeline, but then he came back to practice and Markstrom was ready to back up. So he's obviously traveling with the team on the trip. Nico Dawes got sent down and that's big for the Devils. And look, Jake Allen, I mean, played like a number one goaltender in his absence. You could not have asked for anything more. Even a game yesterday where Allen, his save percentage was under 900, but you look at some of the high danger stops he made, the Devils don't win that game if Jake Allen's not in net. He was just truly phenomenal in every stretch. And just another one of those players stepping up. Everyone's stepping up, buying into the system. And that's why we keep having these episodes where there's really nothing negative to bring up. And that's going to change. There's going to be negativity. And I'm wrong because Pesci's injury is a very negative thing. But we saw in the playoffs even how the Devils kind of persevered. And even though they didn't get that series victory, they were decimated and they gutted it out. And now here we go. They're going to face another test. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in terms of the adversity they face, but you have to be happy if you're a Devils fan with their first test of adversity yesterday, blowing a 2-goal lead to the Avs. And instead of just crumbling, like you said, Justin, like they may have last season, instead storming ahead and grinding out a 4-3 win. So I also want to bring up Arseny Gritsuk real quick. After, was it the Minnesota game, I think? Sheldon Keefe called him a complete National Hockey League player. And we saw that yesterday, making hits. He was tied for the team lead in hits. I believe tied in shot attempts and scoring chances as well. Just all over the place. And look, he's not a guy who's going to be a point per game player, but he's legitimate middle six depth scoring, which the Devils obviously desperately needed last season. So people already getting into talks. What's the Gritsuk extension going to be like? Wait, probably a little longer than 8-9 games. But at the same time, I mean, Gritsuk has been everything you could have possibly asked for. And everyone talked about his shot, but he has what, I think 5-6 assists right now. That's pretty impressive as well. So he's just really doing everything. And I asked Jack Hughes post game for the Hockey Writers his thoughts on Gritsuk so far, and this is a pretty telling quote to me. He said, "The guys in this room are really pumped with how good he is. He's a guy that can be part of our core for a long time, hopefully." And I mean, for Jack Hughes to be saying that about someone after 9 games, I mean, it's pretty telling on the type of player Gritsuk is. Everyone has been super high on him, and reasonably so. So Devils have to be super happy with that as well. I mean, just so much positivity right now, when last season from January on was basically constant negativity. It's just a complete 180. It's been pretty remarkable.
It's going to be interesting down the line. Like Arseny Gritsuk, if he can keep up this play, he can make a real case to win Rookie of the Year, to win the Calder Trophy. He has a real case right now to win it. Obviously, there's a guy in Long Island, number 1 overall pick, Matthew Schaefer, who is playing lights out hockey right now. But maybe down the line, Gritsuk can really prove that he deserves that. So that's going to be a fun narrative to look at down the line there. And yeah, Gritsuk has really just come in and just make an immediate impact, and you can't ask for anything more than that. Like, it's just amazing stuff by him overall. And I just want to pose this question for you. We were talking about Jake Allen and Markstrom, so now you have the Devils goaltending tandem back together. So this upcoming road trip, Tuesday, who's your starter, Jake Allen or Jacob Markstrom? Do you go back to Markstrom as the primary starter, or do you feed the hot hand that is Jake Allen?
It's such a tough call for me because Jake Allen, and I'm actually about to write about this to do an article. Jake Allen, if you look at his numbers, not just this season, but last season, I mean, you could make an argument he deserves to be the number 1 goaltender. And that is zero shade towards Jacob Markstrom, who is a great netminder, got off to a little slow start, but he'll be fine. Allen has just literally been one of the better goaltenders in the entire National Hockey League. And he's essentially, at this point, it seems like the Devils' backup. I don't really know. I think I would start Allen just because he's played so well. But then again, the numbers may say he didn't play as well. 875 save percentage, I believe, against Colorado. But the eye test showed that Allen was locked in, and he's a big reason they won that game. Also, Jacob Markstrom seems to do better in high event games. So I wouldn't start him against a team like the Sharks, where the Devils might be stifling the other team. Because high danger save percentage are what Markstrom does best. The low danger and medium chances are what he struggles with, which you'd think it would be the other way around. But if there's a game where the other team's only going to have 15 to 20 shots, that might not be the best to get Markstrom going. I feel like he needs to face a ton of shots. So maybe I would start him against Colorado for that reason, but also you don't want to destroy his confidence either. I mean, he's been around for a while. I don't think it would have too much of an effect, but he's a competitor. And if he came in and gave up 4 or 5 goals to the Avs and broke up the Devils' losing streak, he'd be hard on himself just because he is such a competitor. So it's a really tough call for me. I don't know. I still just think with how well Allen's played, you have to go with him. But it's a really tough call because you can make a case for both. But regardless, I do think, and this is what I'm going to write about in much more detail, diving into the stats. If you're listening to this, it may be up by now. Just search Daniel Amoia and head to my Hockey Writers author page. But I think at the very least, they need a 50-50 split. I know it seemed more like Markstrom would get like 45 to 47, 50 games maybe. I think it needs to be a 50-50 split. Allen is just too good to have him sitting on the bench when he doesn't have to. And that's, again, nothing towards Markstrom, who was great last season, even better in the playoffs. But Allen has just truly been remarkable in every sense of the word. Kind of crazy because his numbers weren't great with Montreal, and he was in a weird situation there, but you could tell just the mental side of the game. When a player's happier, he got his family situation sorted out. He's not part of some 3 goalie tandem like he was in Montreal. He's just here to play and do his job. And you see that reflected in his play because he looks like a legitimate elite goalie. And I don't think even maybe the Devils didn't even expect to get this high of a caliber of a goalie when they traded for him. So yeah, it's a really tough call, but I think the Devils are in a great spot. Goaltending used to be a weakness of theirs. Now it is absolutely a strength. Said it many times. If you see Jake Allen in the street, give him a fist bump, because that team-friendly deal is, if the Devils do end up making a run in the playoffs or somehow winning a Stanley Cup, Jake Allen is a huge reason for that by taking that contract and allowing them. What if Jake Allen wants more money and they can't sign someone like Connor Brown? The outlook could be very different for this team. So that's props to Jake Allen right there. And yeah, just that this road trip is going to show a lot about the Devils. I know we've had a few games where we've said this is going to show a lot about the Devils, but now with Pesci out, facing a couple tough teams, and obviously West Coast road trips in general are tough with the travel. How are the Devils going to respond? Are they going to be like 22-23 where they take a hold of it and just keep on pushing? Or are they going to face some adversity and have to regroup and be like, okay, it wasn't going to be this easy the whole time. How do we push forward? It could go either way, but like I said, I think they're in a great spot right now.
I think so too. And look, you got Colorado coming up. You just played against them, so you have an idea of their playing style. But Colorado is definitely to come out hungry. They don't want to lose back-to-back games to the Devils. They don't want that at all. And it's going to be tough to win in their barn. Colorado is a tough place to play in. Then you got San Jose. Like, San Jose starting to find their rhythm now. They played hard against the Devils. It was basically a 2-1 game until the empty netter. So it was a close game throughout. And the Sharks just won another game recently. The Kings are always a tough team for the Devils to play in LA. And even Anaheim. Anaheim is not off to a bad start. They got a good young core there. So look, none of these games are a given. Like they could easily lose these, but at the same time, like I could see them winning all 4. And I really hope they win all 4 with the momentum that they have right now. But ideally, just win 3 out of 4. And that'd be perfect. And I would feed Allen game 1 and see how he does. If he puts up another great performance like he's been doing all season, I would just give him another start against San Jose and go from there. Like, you don't have to like decide like before the road trip, all right, you're playing this game, you're playing this game. I would just play it by ear and see how it goes. And then obviously you have LA, Anaheim, a back-to-back. So regardless, Markstrom is going to get a start in this road trip. So it's good for him to get his feet wet, most definitely. Honestly, I like that yesterday they decided to put him there as the backup, because it's not like you're not rushing him out there from his injury, but also you're like letting him get his feet wet, get back into the game day like rhythm and stuff like that. So I feel like that was a good decision there to put Allen there for that game, not rush Markstrom back into it. So it'll be interesting, but it's going to be a tough road trip, but I think the Devils could easily win 3 out of 4 of these games.
Yeah, I mean, if they win 3 out of 4, I think I'd be ready to cement them as a wagon if I haven't already. I keep going back and forth in my head. But you look at last season when they had that tough road trip towards the end of the calendar year. They had Anaheim and the Kings, who I believe they both lost to, gut-wrenching losses, and things kind of spiraled out of control after that. So if they could find a way to maybe beat Colorado, but even if they don't, beat the Kings and beat the Ducks, and it's like, okay, like we still have a positive thing going here, whereas last season those are 2 of the teams that kind of sent the spiral at least started to send the spiral out of control. So it's for that reason, mentally, in the same way that Carolina is such an important contest and moving forward for the Devils, they need to be like, okay, this isn't last season's team. We can beat these teams. And last season, they didn't beat the Sharks either. They did so now. Those games, we said last episode, you cannot take them for granted. And the Devils didn't against the Sharks. They were able to push their way through. And Keith even said post-game, this is a game that we might have lost last season. So, again, you never know what's going to happen. But the Devils are at least in a better spot to compete in this road trip and moving forward. West Coast trips, we saw, I said 2 seasons ago, you could tell a lot about a team. And we're going to find a lot out about these Devils facing some adversity with Brett Pesce out, because adversity is going to happen. It will continue to happen. That's how the National Hockey League works.
Yep. Next man up mentality. Looking forward to it.
So we appreciate all you guys listening, guys and gals. Really, really excited to see how things shape up for the Devils. Obviously, just as someone who covers the team, it's fun times right now. Everyone's in a good mood. A lot of positive vibes since I came on in 23-24. There has not been a stretch like this. They had never won more than 3 in a row. So it's refreshing, rejuvenating for everyone involved. And we'll see how they keep chugging along. Appreciate all your support. We're going to start some new stuff, have some fans send in questions for episodes like these. And you could always comment on YouTube or on Spotify, and we'd love to interact with you and your opinions. Yeah, we'll catch you on the next episode. Appreciate the support, and peace out.